Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag. Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag.
All right. We are back. Welcome to SportsBites, the self-proclaimed #1 podcast bringing you hot takes on both sports and snacks with some delightful guests. I am Randall Horn with you again. My guest tonight, good friend of mine, Mr. Brent Turner, the official Dr. Mike Oxlong.
What's up, Randy? How you doing, man?
Not much, man. It's good to have you on tonight. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Super excited. I know we got a lot to go over tonight.
Absolutely.
Got a nice, fun episode planned out tonight, I believe.
Can't wait, man.
Yes, absolutely. So, the first episode came through, went pretty good. I'm super excited about tonight. This hopes to be a really good one. I like I said, I think we've got a lot of good stuff going on.
Absolutely.
We had a good week of stuff in sports so that we could kind of plan this one a little easier. I feel like last week was like Florida State and everything else doesn't matter. This week we got a lot of stuff.
It was eventful. I think everybody could kind of catch their breath a little bit. College football is, for the most part, done. Bowl season is here. Everybody's done being irritated about FSU getting snubbed.
Most everyone.
Except for you. But again, everybody's ready to, now everybody's kind of shifted gears. The postseason for the NFL is in sight. And I think everybody's just raring to go.
I think so. These next few weeks in the NFL, especially the next 3, man, they are promising to be some big weeks.
We're going to find out who's who, the pretenders, the contenders. We're going to find out exactly who they are, and we look forward to talking about it.
Absolutely. Man. Well, Sports Bites, obviously, you know, we can't do Sports Bites without some bites.
Absolutely.
So we got a few snacks to try out tonight. I know that you brought us up a little offering. We're gonna wait till the end of that.
Okay, all right.
To save that, the best for last and stuff. So tonight we got these, man. I saw these at the store. I was like, hey, they're limited time kind of holiday stuff. We've got the Chips Ahoy. I love chocolate chip cookies. I don't know about you.
I love them.
Love chocolate chip cookies. Can't have enough. We've got the Red Velvet and Hershey's fudge-filled Chips Ahoy's limited time cookies. I was like, shit, this is the perfect time to try something limited. So, you know what? I'm going to get out of the camera over here and let's open these up. Yeah, let's do it. Let's open these up.
You know, Dr. Mike likes something stuff.
You know. I know. When I saw Phil, I was like, Dr. Mike's all over these. All right, let's see here. So, oh, man, yeah. I love, man, chewy Chips Ahoy or crunchy Chips Ahoy?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go traditional. I'm a traditional sort of guy. I kind of like those a little bit better.
I feel you.
But they're really not like, Chips Ahoy are not my go-to packaged cookie.
Yeah.
I'm more of an Oreo guy. And
Fair enough.
Let me tell you, Randy, how I eat my Oreos.
Tell me. Everybody's got a different method.
It's weird. Okay, it's bizarre. So you take the Oreos, you separate them out. Creams in the bowl, wafers on the side. You put all the creams into a bowl. You microwave the creams. Oreo nachos, you dip it in. It's amazing. You look like
Get the hell out of this podcast. That's the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
So good.
What?
It's like, if you like a warm chocolate chip cookie, think about a warm Oreo.
Absolutely.
I love them. So,
that is getting made in this house this week. I can promise you that.
Now, I've been called a maniac for doing that, but also another way I like to eat them is you just get a glass, fill it up with milk, then you just put the Oreos inside, stack them, let it turn into like a Oreo sludge.
Yes.
And then
that I have done.
Then you just choke down the sludge. Hey, yo.
They don't call him Dr. Michael.
But yeah, so Oreo nachos, the way to go. Try them out.
That's going to happen.
Everybody listening, try out some Oreo nachos. It might change your life. Let me try this one right here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm a red velvet fiend. So those are good. I was kind of hoping for more like Hershey's fudge. Like, I get it, fudge filled like cookies. They're good.
I mean, it does say Hershey's on the side.
Yeah, I kind of expected more. Almost like I figured Hershey's would be like an overpowering, but it's pretty good.
I think the red velvet ones are better. Oh, in my opinion, they're pretty good.
Now I'm about to gain 5 pounds off of that bag.
I know, right?
Good.
It's good, man. I'll leave that. You can just slide these over here. We just leave these. We'll kind of munch on those while we're doing our thing.
Most definitely. I'm projecting how much weight I gain in the next year just from doing the podcast.
Oh, I don't even have to look forward a year. I can just kind of think about the next 3 weeks. Christmas is almost here,
right?
You're going to holiday parties. Everybody's got the cookies and the treats and everything out for people to try. So, and you can't say no.
No, never. It's impolite.
Yeah, and if your grandma's baking them, you got to eat those. If mama's making you some, you got to make those. Wife, girlfriend making you some, you got to have it. So.
Well, while we're talking about it, you brought up a really good idea today. Really good point. I think we're going to fire this one off. Christmas time's coming around. There's all kinds of stuff to eat at Christmas time. We've got a lot of sports. The only thing that outdoes sports at the holidays is food.
100%.
Definitely food. And I know you brought up the idea of we should do the snack draft.
The Christmas food draft.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think it's good. I think I need a team. I think I need at least a good 3 starters.
Okay.
3 guys, 3 snacks, foods to go out there for me and win Christmas.
Most definitely.
All right.
Most definitely.
So, I mean,
hold on.
Are we going to flip a coin?
Yeah, you got to. We got to be official on this thing, man. We got to be official.
Okay. Tails never fails.
So tails. It is tails.
All right.
That was the worst coin flip I've ever seen in my entire life.
So I get first pick.
First pick is you, man.
1-1. I mean, I've got a little list right here. For the first pick of the first round in the Christmas food draft, Brent selects gingerbread. Gingerbread is my first overall pick.
Wow.
Nothing says Christmas more than a little gingerbread man with the red hots poked into his chest, the ice smile, and then you bite his head off. And you make little noises like you just ate his head and you eat his limbs and you make him suffer. And it's part of Christmas.
I see the chefs looking at the bakers out here saying you could have waited at least 2 more rounds for that one.
But I'm saying, you maybe, but it's just something that's just like it's the only time of year you make gingerbread in July.
It just doesn't feel
right. I'm calling the police.
Yeah.
So
I'm concerned about my neighbor officer because I smell gingerbread coming from the house.
Absolutely. So I think just the thing is just quintessential Christmas 1-1. It's got to be gingerbread.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This one didn't require a lot of thinking. In my family, this is a mainstay. It's got to happen every Thanksgiving and especially Christmas. When we go have Christmas at my mom's house, I'm sure there will be 2 different kinds, probably the ones I make and the ones she makes. And if anybody else is there, there may be others. It always gets brought there. With the second pick of the Christmas food draft, I select sausage balls.
Sausage balls. Really?
Sausage balls, man.
I do like sausage balls.
And I'll tell you now.
Do you use the hot pepper jelly on them now?
I've never done the hot pepper jelly, but I'll tell you now. I use the Cheddar Bay biscuit mix from Red Lobster to make my sausage balls.
That changed the game right there. Go ahead.
Well, and I was going to say, everyone, you got your biscuit mix, you got your sausage, you got your cheese, you mix it all together, boom, there's your sausage balls. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you mix in just a tiny bit of heavy cream or whole milk, it makes them fluff. It makes them so soft when you bite into them.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, I'll tell you right now, I can eat a meal, straight up meal, out of just a handful of sausage balls. The sausage balls I made for Friendsgiving.
Oh,
I don't know if you tried those.
Yes, I did.
Same recipe.
Okay. Oh, yeah, those were delicious.
Just with deer sausage.
Deer sausage.
That was deer sausage. Homemade deer sausage.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes. I throw it down a little bit.
I do like deer.
Yeah.
I do like deer.
Yeah. Well, stay away from the deer because I got a couple more draft picks coming up.
Okay. So. Oh, yeah. Listen. All right. So, is it my go?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I got like I said, I got a little list over here. This is technically not a food. It's a drink. It's a drink.
Oh.
With my second pick, in the first pick of the second round of my Christmas food draft, I'm going eggnog.
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 Judges, are we allowing this?
A nice spiked cup of eggnog.
Judges say they're allowing it.
A nice spiked cup of eggnog.
Now, I'm going to tell you now. I've only had eggnog a couple of times. Have loved it both times.
Yeah, no, you get a little apple brandy. That's traditional. Or a little bourbon.
It's the bourbon. It's always the bourbon.
It's got a little bourbon, and you got a nice warm fire going. You got some wonderful company. You got a little eggnog.
Man, it's starting to feel like Christmas.
I'm making it a little Christmassy. So and a little fleckle of cinnamon on top. It just makes it pop, bro.
Most definitely.
So that's my second pick.
Okay.
All
okay.
right.
Now, for my next pick, I'm gonna have to say, again, this is probably a little out there.
Yeah.
I know you hit us with the crazy Oreos, which I've never thought about that. I'm gonna tell you now.
It's got to be on the pod.
I save one of these every year. So I'm a hunter. I go hunting. I try to at least get 1 or 2 deer every year. With the deer comes a back strap. It's delicious. It's like one of the best steaks you've ever had. Every year for Christmas, I try to keep one back strap in the freezer. With the 4th pick of the Christmas food draft, I selected rosemary deer tenderloin, roasted.
Sounds amazing.
It is. If you like rare steak, it's perfect. If you like well done steak, it's perfect.
Okay.
You get everything in one. Everything is there. I even make a little red wine sauce, drizzle over the top when it comes out. Oh man, I'll tell you right now.
That sounds amazing.
It's one of those things I can describe it all day, but it doesn't ever do it justice till you taste it.
It's like it's very akin to like a roast beef that you might see on Christmas or a goose or something like that.
Absolutely, man.
I don't know anybody. I couldn't even get a goose if I wanted one. But, like, I don't know, you're a hunter. Maybe you can bag me a goose. But
maybe.
But, like,
I mean,
it's very akin to that.
I know
And that
Szechuan
sounds really
does
good.
a Christmas goose every year.
Yeah, they got cat, too. That sounds good. All right. This is my pick.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Like I said, I got a list over here.
This is a big one. Last starter right here.
All right. So, if you think Oreo nachos is crazy.
Oh, no.
I would probably catch some heat for this. Now, it is much maligned Christmas food. Either you love it or you hate it. It's once a year. I need like 2 slices to go with my eggnog. With my third and final pick of the Christmas food draft, I select fruitcake. Now, hear me out. It's not the stuff you get at the store. That's terrible. I'm talking like a pound cake. You make it home with just enough batter to hold all of that candied, delicious fruit together. The green cherries, the red cherries, lots of orange, raisins. It's basically healthy. It's mostly fruit. So I feel like at Christmas, you need a little bit to kind of, you've been eating deer tenderloin and you've been eating all cookies and all sorts. You need fruit. So why not have it in cake form?
I'm just going to say this.
Yeah, all the haters out there, make your own fruitcake. The stuff at the store is so dense you could use it as a doorstop. That's not what I'm talking about. The homemade fruitcake with just enough cake to hold it together, delicious.
I'm going to tell you right now, Brent, we've known each other for a long time. For a long time, since middle school, I think. We've known each other for quite some time.
That's true.
If there was anyone else sitting in that chair right now, I don't know what I could say to him. But I trust you, Brent. I trust you. I feel like that could be worth trying. That could be worth that. That's a solid starter.
Yeah.
That's a solid starter. Hey, that's that dark horse pick, man. No one saw it coming.
And listen,
no one saw it coming.
With my starting 3, I've got the gingerbread, the eggnog, and the fruitcake. I mean, that's hard to beat.
That is hard to beat.
That's hard to beat.
Now, I'm going to say here, I'm going to go a little outside the box as well.
Okay.
We have this a lot at Christmas in my family. Definitely much more of a Thanksgiving thing than Christmas, but that whole holiday season kind of gets lumped into one as, Thanksgiving till Christmas, New Year's. It's all kind of one lumped in holiday season.
All right.
So, with my third pick, the 6th overall pick of the Christmas food draft, I select pumpkin pie.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that's quintessentially Christmas, though. I mean, you get a lot of Thanksgiving. I mean, if you're, you're kind of, like you said, you're kind of lumping it all together. Don't hate pumpkin pie, though.
I love a good pumpkin
Mrs.
pie.
Oxlong makes a great pumpkin pie. And I enjoyed some over Thanksgiving holiday.
And I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, I got to have pumpkin spice in this, and I want pumpkin in that. And I'm like, nah, I don't dig on all that shit. But a good pumpkin pie,
Delicious.
I can eat it all the way through the holiday season. Doesn't matter. Let's be honest here. Like we were talking about gingerbread in July. I eat a pumpkin pie in July. I don't care.
Okay.
But when the leaves change, it's something about it. It tastes different. It's like the season gets here, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, this is right.
So since you bring up pumpkin pie, let's tie it back to the NFL. I don't know if our viewers know that Mel Kiper Jr., draft guru, he eats a pumpkin pie every morning for breakfast. An entire pumpkin pie.
Kiper?
Yes. Sometimes just the filling, but it's very well documented. For breakfast.
Really?
He eats the filling or an entire pumpkin pie. So
that sounds like an amazing way to start the day every day.
I mean, it could be. I mean, I'm sure he's very regular. That's a lot of fiber. I mean, but
yes.
But that's kind of nuts. But I think we had a good draft.
Absolutely.
If you're watching this in the YouTube, comment what your top 3 would be.
Absolutely.
What you think? Where did I mess up? Am I a maniac for liking fruitcake? Because most people don't like it. They hate it.
Well, on that note, I will say, moving into the next thing, I will say, talking about a pumpkin pie every day, a lot of fiber. Let's go on that note with a lot of fiber, and let's start talking about Patrick Mahomes losing his shit.
Okay,
after their loss.
All right.
I've really, here's the thing. No one in the NFL, unless you're a fan of that team, likes a team that wins all the time. Patrick Mahomes, great quarterback. Respectable quarterback in the sense of Tom Brady being a respectable quarterback. Not many people liked him except Patriots fans or Tampa Bay fans at the end, but you had to respect his game. There was no way you could get around not respecting his game because you knew when he was on the field, he was electric. Patrick Mahomes, very similar. Also very similar to Tom Brady in the sense that every time he takes a hit now, he jumps up crying looking for a flag. I've noticed that a lot this year. This was a big loss for them. This was huge.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah, and, I get it. I saw the post game. I'm sure you saw the post game.
Yep.
Talking about, I can't believe they'd call that flag, and, usually we get a warning and all that. I'm going to tell you now, just from a sports fan who saw it, if I'm a ref and your toe is an inch over the end of the ball, okay, the back end of the ball, I get it. Maybe give you a little discretion. Man, when your foot covers the entire ball, that is offsides, dude. Like, there's no way around that. I feel like the call was the right one to make. Whether the game teetered on that call or not, I feel like the call was the right one to make. And for all the Kansas City fans, and Patrick Mahomes, and all these people, these naysayers, just got to remember, the flag was thrown long before Travis Kelce caught the ball, threw it back, a touchdown was scored. It could have just as easily been an incomplete pass. The flag was irrelevant except for the fact that he broke a rule and got called for it. Your thoughts?
That's exactly what happened. The ref came out, after the game. They get like a little press pool, and he basically said, Tony was covering the ball. We couldn't see the ball. He was that far off sides that he had to call it. Now, it sounds like the refs have a little discretion, have a little leeway to be like, okay, you're right there on the border, but we're going to let the play go. And you can't, retroactively say, oh, you took a touchdown off the board. That could have been a 2-yard running play, and it still would have been called the same way. So I know Chiefs fans are probably, I have just all this butthurt coming out of Kansas City right now that they got a raw deal, but it was a call. Now, it's a ticky. You want to call it a ticky-tack call? Do other teams do it over the league? Yeah, but this is Kadarius Toney we're talking about. This is now 2 games that he's cost him. If you recall, in the first game of the year, Toney had a ball, hit him in the hands squarely, like this. It went through his hands into Brian Branch's hands, and he ran it back for a pick six. Opening week, lost him the game. Now, I'm not saying Kadarius Toney's a bad guy. He's not even that bad of a wide receiver. He's fast, and he runs good routes. But he's missing the intellect.
Yes.
And that whole wide receiver core is just let Patrick Mahomes down consistently. You think a few weeks ago, They Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He had it,
Huge.
dropped it. It was a touchdown.
And to me, that wasn't even like the route was harder than the catch.
Right.
It took him way more work to break open like that. At that point, the catch is almost the easy part of the play. You're about to be a hero. I get it. High pressure.
If you lined up on sides.
But yeah, I mean, I get it. It's high pressure, for everyone out there, especially at the end of a close game. It's high pressure for everyone. That's what you get paid millions for.
Exactly.
You get paid millions to not buckle under the pressure. And I was talking to some buddies at work today, and my new nickname, I love it. We grew up in that era, man. Doug was
Funny?
like Doug Funny, man.
Okay.
And I'm feeling like somebody needs to call Doug Funny because Patty Mahomes over here is really crying about some shit over this one. I heard that today and was like, that might be the funniest thing I've ever heard. I get where Patrick Mahomes comes from in a sense. Like I was talking to you earlier, like when it becomes the regular, the wins become a regular, where you're expecting to win every single week because you've got a ton of offensive power, a good defense, you've got the package you need, you've got a good coach, veteran coach, a lot of great stuff going your way. I understand that the losses make it really hard to take. I understand that the penalties, you don't want to see those. But that's not just with the Chiefs. That's with any team out there. You don't want to see your guys giving up yards or giving up big plays because of simple mental mistakes. But it happens. It happens to everyone.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes, that game, to me, way over the top. I know he's come out since then, said he regretted, his outburst like that. And I know it's a pressured situation. You're in the heat of the moment. To me, that's what defines those quarterbacks in that sense, is you have to be able to take that deep breath and say, that's on us.
Yeah.
That's on us. We caused that.
And not every game boils down to one play. There's 100 other plays in that game. It's not like the Bills were out there killing it in the second half. The game was there to be had.
100%.
And like I said, go back to those wide receivers and just the execution just isn't crisp. It's not there. They're missing a leader in that wide receiver core.
And I like what you say right there. That's the perfect word. That defines their receiver core this year. They are good, but they're not crisp. And let's be honest here. To me, Tyreek Hill brought the crispiness.
He did. Oh, he was the crispiest Cheeto. I mean, call him Cheeto.
Absolutely.
I call him Cheeto. He was the crispiest one.
Yes.
Crunchy style.
Yes.
And he just...
Love the snack reference.
Right, exactly. So when Mahomes needed a play and everybody else was letting him down and Kelsey's getting double covered and the run game's not there, who can they go to? Number 19. That's the guy. And that's how he got that big contract in Miami. And since he left, they kind of cobbled it together, last year, but it's not coming together.
And they have the pieces, but it's like finishing a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and having that one piece missing out of the box. I don't care how good it looks, it's not complete.
The numbers across the board for the Chiefs are down. Points per game, yards per game, Mahomes quarterback rating. And we're going to talk about NFL MVP later, and I got a great little nugget stat about Mahomes. I guess I'll give it to you now. Currently, right now, Patrick Mahomes is a plus 1,600 MVP favorite. For those at home that don't gamble, that means $100 would win you $1,600. And just after week 12, he was a plus 400. We're heading into week 15. That means over the last 3-4 weeks, that has gone precipitously. He's gotten worse because they're dropping games. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season, I can get plus 1,600 on Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP, I might have put the mortgage on it.
Right.
I might have put the mortgage on it. But, luckily for him, and there's a little more MVP talk just a little bit, but Mahomes can redeem himself. He's got an easy schedule coming up. His next opponents, New England, Las Vegas, San Diego, Cincinnati. Not a gauntlet.
No. Realistically, well below the bar.
And we're going to talk playoffs here in a second. They are fighting. They're leaders in the division, but not by much. They are fighting for a good playoff spot, a higher seed. They've got the schedule to do it. But Mahomes and his guys got to get on the same page.
Well, and they risk going into the playoffs in a different position than they've been in a long, long time. Mm-hmm. They risk going into it not as the powerhouse that they usually are.
For years, that the road to the Super Bowl went through Kansas City.
Every step of the way.
It's not going to be this year.
So, hitting on that, I know we've got a lot of topics. That was one thing I talked to you about, and that's kind of one thing I want to touch on this because it was an interesting topic. So, we talk about Tyreek Hill. And what, you and I had talked about just a little while ago was, before the podcast, was the thought that I've had on this whole thing with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, not my favorite player in the NFL, but he's an amazing wide receiver. Would I lose any sleep over him being on the Eagles? Not a damn bit. Great wide receiver. Still well in his prime in my book. Still has the ability to do everything he needs to. I know he got banged up a little bit and then sprinted off the field after looking like he might have gotten seriously hurt this last weekend. The dude's a stud. He's a stud wide receiver. To me, Tyreek Hill, over the last couple of years, definitely probably top 3 receiver in the league. He's always seemed to be there to make a play when you needed him. Valdez-Scantling, like we were talking about, drops a huge pass against the Eagles, costs them the game. Kadarius Toney, offsides last game on what ended up being a huge play that would have been SportsCenter top 10 for the next 3 weeks. Would have looked so good. Kelsey throwing it backwards and hitting him, and he just walks in the end zone, basically. That's a beautiful play. But he nullifies all that by a simple mental mistake. Here's my issue. I know they parted ways with Tyreek Hill. I know there was a lot of factors in the whole thing with Tyreek Hill, whether they were going to keep him, whether they're going to let him go. My issue is this. The Valdez-Scantling play, Tyreek Hill does not drop that ball.
No way.
That's a win over the Eagles,
yeah,
who were top in the NFC at the time.
At the time.
Kadarius Toney, lining up offsides. Tyreek Hill doesn't line up offsides. And on top of that, Tyreek Hill probably tells his receiver, as a veteran receiver, tells his guy, hey, back up. You're too far. Back up. He has that awareness to tell them, if it's not even him doing it, to tell his other guys what they need to do. He has that awareness. He's a great veteran receiver. What in the NFL at this point is the W worth? On games that one play truly can dictate it. And I'm not a fan of one play or one penalty could have changed that game. In my book, every time somebody says that, I'm like, how many plays were given up that you could have changed the game earlier in the game? It should never be one play determines it unless it is just the perfect game by both teams on both sides. That means there was mistakes that were made on both sides that weren't capitalized.
And some of the stuff you're talking about is the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat book.
Yes.
It's about leadership.
Yes.
And that's another thing that this group is missing, besides the Christmas. No real leadership. That is worth more than just, obviously millions of dollars, but it's something that you can't necessarily enumerate. You can't put a number on that. Mm-hmm. A guy like, I'm a Ravens fan, so a guy like we brought in, OBJ, mm-hmm. right? Most people consider he's kind of past his prime, coming off a couple injuries, but what they brought him in for is they've got a young wide receiver core behind him. They've got Zay Flowers, Devin Duvernay, guys like that who are behind him. He's going to show them, hey, when we're doing this play, back up. Mm-hmm. How to go down and get out of bounds when we're low on time.
The tricks of the trade.
The tricks of the trade, the things that don't show up in the stat book.
Yes.
And that's what the Chiefs are missing. They're missing a guy because Kelsey can't be everything. I know he's Mr. Ma'auto and Tay-Tay's boyfriend. He's a lot of things, but he can't be all of it. And he is a team leader. Mahomes is a team leader. But you've got to have a guy in your position group that can show you exactly how to be a professional. And I'm not sure Kadarius Toney is that guy.
Did Patrick Mahomes affect his leadership status in the eyes of his team the way he reacted at the end of the game?
I think the way he went after Josh Allen when they went to have a handshake and couldn't just say, good game.
Yeah. That hit me the hardest, too. Yeah.
I think that's a little poor sportsmanship. And again, he's frustrated. It's a tough loss. They've been losing these close games, and he's not used to that.
Yeah.
He's used to being at the top of the AFC, winning at home, throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns a game.
Making the 13-second drive at the end to win the big games.
He's used to that. So now he's hitting a little adversity. And he's still a young quarterback. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got a couple rings, but he's still a fairly young quarterback. So these next few weeks, even with this easy schedule, we're going to find out exactly what Mahomes is all about. And, it's kind of up in the air right now. So I'll be interested to see how they kind of rally and maybe make a little bit of noise.
First ballot Hall of Famer. 2 rings.
First ballot?
AFC championships. The stats go with it.
Probably.
We see the comparisons to Tom Brady.
Probably.
I think so. I think if he keeps his ship in the right direction, if he gathers himself, it's a rough week. Hey, every quarterback has rough weeks. I don't care how good or bad you are. Every quarterback has rough weeks. I get that. Carrying yourself forward is the main thing. How you come back from it to show, hey, that's the guy you saw last week is not who I am. That's not who I am. I'm better than that. I think he's gonna have to take a break on the commercials for a little bit to gather himself. I know. Somewhere Jake from State Farm is sitting there just like, oh, what are you doing?
Pep talk.
But I mean, Mahomes again, not my favorite player in the league, but he's a great quarterback. You have to respect his game.
Yeah, and I think that when the postseason gets here, the offseason gets here, they're going to address that.
Yeah,
and they're going to they'll probably go pick up a vet and get a rookie and kind of revamp that room.
Yeah,
and get some guys in there that he trusts, and that are talented. So I'm not. The Chiefs are a great organization, and we're sitting here talking like they're a bad team. They're sitting here at 8-5.
Yeah,
I'm looking at my notes right here. They're number 3 seed in the AFC right now. So let's not discount them. And with that easy schedule that I said that they have coming up, there is nothing there. I mean, we're still talking about Patrick Mahomes, even though he's being a little crybaby. He can still go out and win these next 4 games and end the season at 10. I can't do math. 12-5.
Yeah, 12-5. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. So, we'll see what happens. And
I mean, the ball's in his court. No pun intended. It really is.
Yeah.
I think that's, it's awesome that in our generation we've really got to witness greatness on a few notes, and in a few different positions on the field. I think that he will be in that group of truly greats when his time does come, which he has a long time before he gets here. On that note, we talk about Mahomes. We talk about, we haven't mentioned him, but, Pacheco, decent running back, definitely good enough to get the thing going. You got issues with Kadarius Toney. Travis Kelce, let's talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I'm totally kidding. I'm joking.
Oh,
we will not talk about that kind of shit on this podcast.
Okay,
not going to happen. Couple things I've got written down. The dub. What is the dub worth? That's a question I think all these teams should ask themselves. Not just the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. You really have to start looking at how much is that W worth? Is that one player? Because this has shed a lot of light for a lot of teams. I feel like of how much of an impact that one player truly can make. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to save the bucks. Well, I can get 2 pretty good players for what I'm paying this really good player. But when those 2 pretty good players are playing at a pretty good level, and you need an elite level guy, that really hurts you. And I think this year, quite honestly, if the Chiefs don't go, I think they have to look at that. Mm-hmm. I think they have to look at that as being a cause of their issues. The plays that were missed, look at the guys missing the play. Who replaces those guys missing the play?
I think Tyreek is one of those very few non-quarterback players that you pluck them off your team. You can't just pull a guy up off the roster to replace.
100%.
And we've seen a rash of replacement quarterbacks this year. In fact, 16. That's half.
Crazy.
That's half the league. And look no further than the New York Football Jets. 4 plays into the season, everybody, including myself, was high on the Jets.
Oh, absolutely. They finally had everything they needed.
And then Aaron Rodgers goes out. You see the coach. Go back and look at the coach's face when they're putting Aaron Rodgers on a cart. He's like, because he knew oh shit, I've got to start Zach Wilson now. Yep. The guy that I wanted to replace the entire time, so that's why we brought in Aaron Rodgers.
I've been talking shit about this guy the whole offseason.
Yeah, seriously. So it's just crazy how many quarterbacks have been replaced, and thankfully, you're an Eagles fan, I'm a Ravens fan.
Oh,
we've kept our guy healthy this year.
And you, as a Ravens fan more than an Eagles fan, Jalen hasn't had too many crazy injuries. I know Lamar has battled through a lot.
Yeah, he spent the last 2 Decembers on the bench, being hurt.
Yeah.
And we faltered and either, kind of backed into the playoffs or didn't make the playoffs at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just crazy. But speaking of playoffs, Randy, do you mind if I shift gears a little bit?
Shift it up, man.
All right.
Shift it up.
I'm looking at the playoff picture.
Yeah.
Each team's got 4 games left. We are right here in the thick of it. Like I said, contenders, pretenders. All right, just for a recap for our listeners. Here's what we got. In the AFC, we got Ravens 10-3, Dolphins 9-4 with their loss last night. Choke job versus Tennessee. Down 14 with 3 minutes to go. Will Mayonnaise Levis comes and brings them back and wins the game. Right? Crazy. Yeah. You get the Chiefs, like we said, 8-5. Jags 8-5. And the wild card. All right, the wild card, we've got Browns 8-5, and then a slew of teams at 7-6, including Pittsburgh, the Colts, the Texans, Denver, Cincy, and the Buffalo Bills. Now, Randy,
the air is thick in the bubble now, bro.
Yeah, it is very thick, and we're going to find out who is who coming up soon. But I've got a dark horse for you, and I've got one for the AFC and the NFC.
Okay, what do you got? I can't wait to hear this.
So for the AFC, right, this is my kind of what I'm thinking. I've got 2 of these 7-6 teams to kind of make a little noise, maybe sneak in there and take those last 2 seeds, right? First off, let's talk about Cincinnati. Okay? Cincinnati. Jake Browning has come in and played very admirably. He's come with a 75% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's played better than everybody's seen the backup play in the NFL. It's been dog shit.
Yeah.
So
yes.
He's played really well.
And that's what you need out of a backup, in my book, is you need a guy who's going to be safe. He's going to make the plays you need and try to not turn it over too much.
And I think Jake Brownings's making himself a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Right? Because you look at teams like Minnesota, they're starting the Pastronaut, Josh Dobbs. And just
him getting sat last week.
And places like Zach Wilson. He's got the rest of the season. He's got another 4 games. This is basically an audition for him. Mm-hmm. Now, Cincinnati might pony up a little bit of money and say, "Hey, you're pretty good. We're going to pay you like you're a very top tier backup."
Backup, yep.
So what we're going to see about him over the next 2 days, and then here's my other one. And lots of people called this team dead for weeks. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos.
I know.
The Denver fucking Broncos. Okay? They got 70 hung on them.
You were going to say
They got 70 hung on them. But since then, their defense is playing better. Russ is cooking. He's not cooking up $1 store ramen. He's actually making something fairly decent. The defense is playing better. They're getting the running game going. He's being efficient with the ball. He's not necessarily lighting it up, but he's not making mistakes, and they're moving down the field. And
if you remember, when he won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks, that's what his thing was efficiency. Was being efficient.
I'm not going to turn the ball over. I'm not going to make amazing plays, but I'll make the play.
Yes.
But here's a little nugget I've got for Denver. Over the next 4 games, they have one of the easiest schedules remaining. Their opponents have a combined .423 winning percentage, less than 500. So they don't have a hard schedule.
Yeah.
And a couple of those are at home. So I feel like with the trajectory that they have, the way they've been playing, I feel like sitting at 7-6, they might make a little noise in the AFC West. If Kansas City can't get their shit together, who's to say that Denver can't come back from the grave like the damn Undertaker and win the AFC West, which would be insane. And Coach Sean Payton, he would just be telling all the haters, "I told you so."
Yeah.
I told you so.
And I think all of us have kind of waited since Payton took over there, have waited to see, Sean Payton, man. I mean, he's a legendary coach.
Absolutely.
And I think everyone has waited to see the Denver Broncos finally kick in and be like, no, we've got that legendary coach. We've got weapons. Do they have the greatest roster in the league? Absolutely not.
Cortland Sutton is having a breakout year.
Yes.
Yeah, he's having a breakout year. Jerry Jeudy, yeah, he's okay, but he's a guy. He can make the play.
And I think that everything happening with Jeudy earlier in the season gave Cortland Sutton that ability to say, hey, we're going to give you the chance to step up. You do what you want to with it. If you want to step up into this role, it's yours to step into. And I think he's done beautifully.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about the AFC. Any
I
thoughts
can dig that.
Any thoughts, Randy? You got any dark horse contenders? Anybody you like? I will say, my Ravens are the number 1 seed right now. However, they do have the hardest remaining schedule, including a Christmas night matchup at San Francisco, which is going to be a very hard game. But Lamar is very good as the underdog. Plays very well as underdog. Not so much as a favorite, but you're telling me the Ravens probably be 3.5-point dogs going to San Francisco. San Francisco's already clinched their playoff spot.
Yeah.
Maybe they're still scrapping for that number 1 seed, depending on what Dallas does, what Detroit does over the next couple of weeks. But that's going to be a big, big matchup. And I'll talk about Lamar and the Ravens a little bit more when we talk about the MVP race, but just something to keep your eye on.
Well, I'm going to tell you now. So I agree with you, dark horses. I like those picks,
okay.
Especially the Denver Broncos. I've had my eye on them since they pulled a couple of upsets out that started their kind of run. I started looking at them and was like, man, mathematically, and that's the thing in football. If you're mathematically not out of it, then you're truly not out of it. We've seen some crazy stuff happen. I mean, we've seen some crazy stuff happen in the last few years that teams that were like, no, they're down and out. Well, are they mathematically out? No. And they at least give it a great run. I like your what you got going on the AFC. I'm actually going to switch gears over, and I think I'm going to take the reins on the NFC, being the Eagles fan.
All right, go for it. I got thoughts, but go ahead.
I'm going to jump in on this. Before I switch, I will say this. The Ravens, super strong team. One thing I have noticed, only because the friggin' guy is on my fantasy team, and he was killing me these last couple of weeks, is a Gus bus out of gas. Has Keaton siphoned the fuel out of the Gus bus? Has it happened?
He has. And I think and when you watch Keaton Mitchell play, electricity. God. That guy is so fast. He's so shifty. He reminds me of like a Darren Sproles type because he's shorter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But just electricity.
I love his
cuts. And he's not afraid to take a hit.
No.
Gus can get you that tough yard. That tough 1 or 2 yards, 3rd and 1.
Yep.
4th and 1. He's going to fall forward. He doesn't have blazing speed. Still a great back, but they call him the bus for a reason.
Yep.
All right? He's not a Maserati. He's not a Ferrari. He's not those things.
He's a friggin' tank, man.
But so, yeah, you've seen the emergence of Keaton Mitchell. He was hurt at the beginning of the year, but if you follow the Ravens, you saw him in the preseason. The Ravens have a streak of getting a undrafted rookie onto their team almost every year. And this is a credit to their scouting department and the people who pick these guys to come to camp. They always have a guy who comes in and just, you watch him in practice, right? He stands out. That's a guy. Nobody's taken a 5'9" or 5'10" back out of East Carolina, with their draft pick. But he has been a spark plug since he's come in. And I can't wait to see what his career looks like and what it's like going forward for the rest of the season. Because you add that speed to what we already have in the backfield with Lamar and his speed and the running game. I know we're missing Mark Andrews, but we've got a lot of talent. Zay, he's electric too. OBJ, like I mentioned earlier, steady force out there. I know you're an Eagles fan. I know you want to hear this name. Nelson Aguilar.
He comes through, man.
Except for the Pittsburgh against the Steelers over this year. But whatever. He is another one of those steady vets that Lamar can depend on. He's going to have to depend on his running game and his wide receivers now. And you saw it this past week. No Mark Andrews. Right? Who do we got? OBJ with the touchdown. Isaiah Likely with the touchdown. Keaton is getting
highly unlikely.
He's getting a bulk of the carries.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see where it goes with him. But Gus is still an integral part of this team, and
Well, he's always going to be a goal line threat, no matter what. You got to figure if you guys are going to get down within 5-6 yards.
Better than the tush push? Better than the tush push?
It depends on the scenario, I think. And I will have to say, I do gotta knock a little bit there. I have to say, man, I thought I was gonna have to stop you, man, because you were having shades of Chris Collinsworth for a second. You're like, now here's a guy. Was
I?
And I was about to be like, dude, we're done talking about Mahomes. We're not talking about Mahomes anymore, Chris. Calm down. No, I totally agree with you. I think that Keaton has been a spark that you guys really needed. Especially, I know they're two different positions, but losing Mark Andrews is such a huge part of your offense. You have to find something that you can bring some of that attention back to. And I think he's filled that role really well for you guys.
That's a good point.
I think that, an offense, everybody looks at, well, they're wide receivers and they're running backs and that's your quarterback and that's your time. No, an offense works as a unit. And if you lose a huge part of that unit, you need somebody to take that attention somewhere else. And he has filled that role really well for you guys. He has been the one to be like, hey, give me the... I mean, dude, how many times have I seen watching you guys, again, with Gus on my damn fantasy team, and I'm like, don't give it to... God, don't give it to Keaton. Don't give it to Keaton. They give it to Keaton. They're like 27 yards, breaks. I'm like, dude, stop doing that. But honestly...
It's hard to keep him off the field right now.
Absolutely.
He's been playing well.
Absolutely. And I think you have a great back and a great complementary back set up, and you have to have that to go the distance in the playoffs. From what I see, you need more than one solid back. I know teams have done it with one solid back, but to me, like when the Eagles went, I mean, one thing the Eagles have always done is, you'd have like Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott and all these guys that played in the backfield. None of them were electrifying, but they all had a role, and they all did that role. And to me, that's what you guys have, is you have those two solid guys that come out, and when they're like, hey, we need a breakaway, or we need them to bite on the run here. We need to play fake this out. And Keaton comes in, and I'll be honest with you, he has come leaps and bounds in his pass block this year. He has made some blocks that I was like, they're getting blown up, and he's come through. Maybe not every single one of them, but he's done a good job of building that part of his repertoire. And that's something you need in that position, because you need a guy who can come out as a speed back, who's electrifying, to make those defenses bite. When they see him come on the field, they're like, they're running, watch the run.
And I think the threat of Lamar running makes Keaton a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Especially if they're running any sort of option. Who's going to get the damn ball? Because they're both fast. And it's like, pick your poison. So, boy, it's exciting, and we are going to be tested these next 4 games.
Yes.
So, it'll be interesting to see.
Well, so back on the NFC, I got to say, it's been a tough couple of weeks as an Eagles fan.
Brutal.
I'm going to tell you right now, and I've said this since before we lost to the Niners, before we lost to the Cowboys. The San Francisco 49ers are going to be the team for an AFC team to beat in the Super Bowl, probably. They are probably one of the most complete teams I've ever seen in the NFL. They have what we're talking about with Keaton, electrified. They have electricity in basically every position. The only time I've seen them really have a struggle is
when they're hurt.
When they were hurt, Purdy doesn't have his weapons. And I have seen, and he's done a lot to come back from this, but I've seen earlier in the season more, Purdy had a hard time with the blitz. When you give that guy time to throw, man, he is going to torch you left and right. He will carve you up.
What a great pick by them, by Mr. Irrelevant. Last pick of the draft.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is just rolling the dice.
Yes.
And they hit a 20 for my D&D fans out there. they hit a 20 with him. Like,
He's filled the role perfectly. I mean, look at last year. After everything happened, even in the championship game, like in the NFC Championship, you see all that stuff go down, and it's like, well, that dude's never going to be anything. Like, he just blew his arm out. Like, he's out there. They basically threw him to the wolves in that last game and was like, oh, you can't throw. Your arm is like, there's nothing left of it. We need you to finish a couple of quarters in this game. Go ahead and go back out there and just hand the ball off the whole. I'm like, dude, that's for a guy as young as him. Like, can you imagine that mentality you have to go in there and be like,
gritty.
I am about to get destroyed out here. This year, he's come through so well for them. I think last year was a big building block for him to say, hey, I got a taste of the scariest part of the NFL that I'm going to ever see. I can only go forward from here. and he's done beautifully. I'm like, McCaffrey, Debo, Brandon, man, he's had a big season, man. Their receiving core, I mean, they really
even
got
on the offensive line. You got Trent Williams over there in left tackle.
Yeah,
an absolute animal.
Disgusting.
Whatever pass rusher you think you have, he will neutralize.
Yeah, makes them irrelevant.
So even if you do blitz, you might not get to him.
Yes, and then we're not even discussing their ridiculous defense.
Yeah,
We're on offense right now.
Right.
We haven't even touched on the defense. They just have a total package team that, as an Eagles fan, I love my Eagles. I bleed green around here, but I'm also an honest football fan.
And they punked y'all's asses the other week.
They did, and not just that game against us. I've just seen too much from them all season that says, barring injury, serious injury, or something very drastic happening to them, they keep doing what they're doing. They're going to go all the way this year.
Yeah. They hit that little skid right there. That's why they're 10-3 right now.
Yeah.
But I think they just had a couple bad breaks. They lost a bad game to Minnesota.
Had some injuries.
And they had some injuries, so just they hit a little lull there. And they hit their bye. Yep. And they've come back from their bye, and they've just been kicking ass.
Yeah. And I think that the road will go through San Francisco. I would like to think, and this is where I'm on the fence, because I called the Eagles losing to Dallas. Mm-hmm. As an Eagles fan, I thought we would beat them in Philly. We're so borderline with both those teams that I feel like that home field advantage determines so much. It gives that edge, and that really has been the big edge in both teams.
And can I give you the standings for the NFC?
Yeah,
you want to hear them?
Yeah.
Just so like I said, San Francisco number 1 right now, and they've already clinched a playoff spot, sitting there at 10-3. Right tied with them, Dallas 10-3. Big win the other night against the Eagles. Big win. That the Eagles needed to prove that, and they just didn't even score an offensive touchdown.
Okay, I get it, Brent.
But then you've got Detroit 9-4, Tampa Bay 6-7, which is why they're a 4 seed. The NFC South is total dog shit. But whatever. And then your first wild card is Philly. Philly at 10-3 is a wild card, which is insane. That just tells you the top 3 teams, all sitting there with 10 wins. It's tough. And then you've got Minnesota 7-6, and then all these teams: Green Bay, LA, Seattle, Atlanta, New Orleans, all sitting at 6-7. The entire NFC South, minus the Panthers, is sitting there at 6-7. Somebody is going to win that division. One of them is going to get a home playoff game, most likely against the Eagles. The Eagles are going to have to go unless Dallas falters. But I will say the Eagles do have the easiest remaining schedule of all those teams, that the wild card teams and the teams on the bubble. They have they've got 2 games left against the Giants. I think they've got the Cardinals. You got to look out for Pasta Fajul, Tommy DeVito, up there in New York.
Got the Seahawks still as well.
Yeah,
I believe.
So they're on there. And out of all those teams, Minnesota actually has the hardest remaining schedule.
Yeah.
Of those, so. It's just a big cluster fudge right there. If everybody is 6-7, but I think Philly can really grab a stranglehold of that and get that wild card spot. Hopes that Dallas maybe, because Dallas still has to play Miami. Yeah, they've got to. They've got.
Miami's got a lot of stuff they need to fix too.
True. So but I'm sorry. I got dark horse.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I've got dark horse here for these. For the NFC.
Let's see it.
And I can tell you, because the Ravens just played them this past week.
Mm-hmm.
The LA Rams. Sitting there at 6-7. I think they've got something. They've got McVay. They've got Puka. They've got Cooper Kupp. They are not great on defense. But their offense with Stafford, and McVay is the coach, can do enough to maybe sneak in there, maybe past the Green Bay, past Minnesota, somewhere in there to get that other wild card spot, and maybe make a little noise. You still have Aaron Donald on the defensive line.
That's true.
The Rams were in that game with the Ravens. They were making me. It went to overtime. It's not like we got blown out. They didn't cover the 7.5, and I think, and that was in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. So I think the Rams have been playing better. So like I said, it's a dark horse. They might not make it, but I think the pedigree is there, especially with the coaches that you have, the players on offense, a little bit of Aaron Donald, a little bit of luck. Who knows what could happen?
And let's not forget, a lot of those guys have that good playoff Super Bowl experience. A lot of the players that are still on that team have been there.
Yeah.
They were there. And so that, to me, being in the big game gives you a level of experience that I don't care how long you've been in the league. If you've never been there, it's different.
Right.
It's different. And a lot of they have the guys who, to me, they could be that team, if they do dark horse it and get in there, that once they're in the playoffs, they could easily be that team that once they make it, they're
Stafford's won a
now
Super
we're
Bowl.
different. This is a different team now.
Yeah, he's won a Super Bowl. And you talk about, Puka Nacua coming out of nowhere, fifth round pick, I think, out of BYU, has been a revelation.
Yeah.
For my fantasy team as well, just so everybody knows. But like I said, dark horse, they've got some work to do with sitting there at 6 and 7. But like I said, there's a lot of teams sitting there at 6 and 7 right now. So who knows?
Yeah, most definitely. God, I can't believe I'm about to ask this question.
All right.
I got to get an honest take on it. Sports Bites, we are an unbiased sports podcast. So
I tried my best.
I have to ask, did the 49ers and the Cowboys, did they expose Philly to be something that they're not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. They it's not like everybody kind of knew that Philly was. They're officially on fraud alert. They are on fraud alert. Their offense. Everybody's. I'm not worried about the offense. You should worry about the offense. They didn't score one offensive touchdown against Dallas. Now people might say, "Oh, Dallas has a great defense." They've beat the crap out of some really bad teams, but the teams that they've played with the pulse. I mean, they just gave up 35 or something to Seattle.
Yeah.
You telling me you can't go score a single touchdown? It's just, and the secondary has been ass all year. Blankenship back there in the back has been dog crap. The corners have been dog crap. Their secondary has just been, something is not there. And you get the coaching turnover.
Well, this has been fun. Thank you guys for being here for Sports Bites.
No, I'm just saying, you asked if they got it, so their defense have been exposed. I think the problems on offense can be fixed. They are not devoid of talent on that side of the ball. They've still got a good offensive line. They still got good backs.
Best center in the league.
That's one of the best tackles in the league as well.
Yes.
They've still got great wide receivers, running backs, quarterback. We all know Jalen Hurts is a guy. Yeah. He's a great quarterback. So I think the problems there can be fixed. But you look at the offseason, you lose your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator to head coaching jobs.
Huge.
And now you're not like we were talking about with the Chiefs. The crispness just isn't there. But they're sitting there at 10-3. They get a wild card game. Like they're going to make the playoffs. And once that happens, they'll be all right. But they've got to get this defense shored up because they might win a game, but they're gonna if they do get the wild card, they're gonna have to go to Dallas or they're gonna have to San Francisco. And we've already seen what happened when they played San Francisco.
Well, and my thing is we've tried. We've picked some players up. Picking up Baird, that was big.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting Shaquille Leonard. Like, Shaquille Leonard,
All-Pro.
He should be able to walk it. Now,
why did he clear waivers, though? No one wanted to pick him up.
I'm not sure about that, and I can't really speculate on it because I don't. I mean, that I feel like is one of those front office things where it's like we probably will never truly know. But he's one that I knew coming in that first week. You can't expect a guy to go into a new scheme.
No way.
And be like, oh, I'm going to be that same. You got to give him some time. I think that by the time the playoffs come here, he will have put up some good numbers with us for those few games. He will have integrated himself as a great part of our defense. But it's going to take time. You can't just expect that guy to do it overnight. And I think that we will have to do that. Like you said, we will have to do that on defense. We will have to get that shit figured out and straightened up before we get into the playoffs, or we're going to look like a friggin' joke.
Right.
We're going to look like a joke. We're going to go in there, and we're going to end up getting pounded in the first or second round of the playoffs. And everyone will always say, well, 2023 Eagles was frauds the whole time. I mean, we've already heard it. As funny as it might be.
Fraud alert.
I mean,
but they've got an easy schedule coming up, and maybe they can get a little momentum. Maybe some of that stuff is just mental. if they go into the playoffs maybe playing better, and all right, because the Eagles have just had a hell of a schedule.
Yeah, last 5 games I think were definitely toughest of our schedule.
It's been really tough. So and that maybe they just when they played Dallas, they just were beaten down by this tough schedule, and they just didn't have the legs. It just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So maybe they can take these next few games, try to build on some of the things. They look at the tape, build on some things. So I'm not saying the Eagles are out of it by any means, but maybe being exposed maybe helps them. Maybe helps them recognize, okay, this is our glaring weakness. What can we do to mitigate this or make it better? Because we know we're a good team, right? They are a good team, and I don't doubt that. So they're going to have to get together.
Well, I know one thing that would definitely help the Eagles right now. One thing that could really push us over the edge is, having an MVP on our team. Having an MVP on our team would really help things.
Really.
And, we aren't going to be lucky enough to have that this year. But I know we were talking earlier, there's some good candidates right now.
I have thoughts.
Some good candidates.
Yeah.
I've got a few, probably not quite as in depth as you, because I went into it kind of looking at the whole group and saying that if I was voting for that, that's my guy right there.
Okay.
I know right now the only plus odds player in the NFL to win MVP is Dak Prescott. Last I checked today, he was the only positive going off at plus 150.
Yeah, I got him right here at plus 150. And just like I told you earlier with Mahomes, how he was here and went down here. With Dak, it went from here to way up here. And I got both of these stats off week 12.
Mm-hmm.
Since week 12, he was plus 800. Plus 800 has come all the way down to plus 150. He's been playing well. I think he's got 22 touchdowns or something ridiculous in the last 4 or 5 games. He's been playing his ass off. And the Cowboys have been just beating the crap out of people. So
can they maintain that, though?
We'll see. I think we're in this cycle of Cowboys hype where they
Cowboys hype.
Yeah,
what is that?
It's like we're kind of in between the we them boys phase and the choking the playoffs phase. We have
damn December phase.
Right? Yeah. So the hype is real. The hype is on the tracks. We are full steam ahead. But I have some other numbers for you.
Okay,
Randy. So you mentioned Brock Purdy earlier. He's at plus 185
for MVP.
Yes.
I didn't. I looked it up, but I didn't see him as a positive.
And these are the other two I've got. I've got Lamar at plus 475 and Hurts at plus 650. Now, that might be a good time to grab Hurts if you really think that they can take this easy schedule and run with it and play really well. Maybe overtake the Cowboys and get a better seed. And he plays really well over the next 4 games, who knows? But the one I'm interested in, and I'm not being biased, is Lamar at plus 475. I feel like he's got, with that tough schedule, he's got the most to prove. Now, as an unbiased fan, I'm an NFL MVP voter. Let's say Lamar, hypothetically, plays really well, gets the Ravens the number 1 seed, and also goes into San Francisco and gets a win and plays well. You're telling me that he's not going to skyrocket up the list as an MVP candidate? Because he will have to play like an MVP to get these wins over these next 4 games. So we'll see what happens. But that's the one that intrigued me the most. Well, and Hurts.
Damn, I'm looking at it right now. You're right. I don't know what website I looked at earlier, but I need
Pornhub does not count as a gambling site.
You can't watch that in Virginia anymore, man.
Yeah, shit.
But no, you are right. All those stats. Only one I saw that was up there was Dak. You are right. Here's my thing about the MVP. And again, like you just said, we're not MVP voters. So what we think may be irrelevant, although normally it's the fans who watch all this stuff regularly that ends up having the smarter ideas about these things. I just have to throw it out there. If I I had to pick someone for MVP from what I've seen this year, you got a lot of guys who are looking good as MVP. We're not voters for MVP. Although I will say, if I had the option to pick somebody right now for MVP, I would have to put my vote in for Christian McCaffrey. I know it's been a while since we've had an MVP that's non-quarterback.
I know his odds were through the roof. I think they were almost plus 2,000 or something crazy.
Plus 4, I
really
think was the last I just saw when I was looking at. Let me see here. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey plus 4 on Bet365 is what he's going off.
Okay.
And
I might flick a couple dollars at that.
Plus 4, plus 5, plus 4,000, and then he's got plus 2,500 through I think that's MGM. I'm not sure. But either way, those are astronomical odds for a guy who has the pedigree he has. His best season he's ever had. I just wanted to go through this. 1,387 rushing yards, 287 attempts. He averaged 4.8 yards that season, 15 touchdowns. He had 116 receptions. Now, the reception number is what gets it. That was when he was in Carolina. I think it was 2019.
116?
Yeah, 116 receptions. Receptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were feeding him the ball out of the backfield.
You don't say.
This year so far, with plenty of time left in the season, he's at 1,177 yards already. That's on 226 attempts. That's 61 attempts less than he had for that season, getting that number. I'm figuring at the pace he's at, he can hit that number to break his record that he already has. He's averaging 5.2 yards so far this season.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
He's got 12 touchdowns already up to this point. I'm like, so 15 touchdowns, I'm like, it's well within reach. Well within reach. And he's done all this, put up these numbers with half the receptions that he had before. Now, these are just his rushing yards. These are not his all-purpose yards. And I will be the first to admit it is a little bit of a slanted stat because his receiving yards, I think he's at like 460-something, 400 change. His best season, he was over 1,000. He went, I think, 1,006 yards receiving. But also look at his numbers. That was with 111 receptions. He's basically on pace with that with 52 receptions. He just hasn't got the ball fed to him out of the backfield as a receiver. I think that when you look at those stats, he's the number one running back in the league.
No doubt.
And you just can't deny it. I get it. The MVP always, especially for the past few years, has always been kind of the wide receivers can be good, the running backs can be good, the defensive players can be good, but it's all about the quarterbacks. I'm like, when you look at those stats, do you remember his season with Carolina in 2019? He was an absolute monster. Everyone feared him every step he took on the field. To me, this year, I feel like he doesn't get that same respect, and he is making the most of it.
All right, here's a thought. Like, when I think of MVP, it's like, if you were to take that guy off of the team, what would that team look like? When I think of San Francisco, if they took Christian McCaffrey off the team, and they put Elijah Mitchell or whoever back there, they would still be a pretty good team, right? So I think San Francisco, being that complete team that you said that they were, kind of maybe hurts him a little bit. Because I look at Lamar or Dak or, someone like even Purdy. They've got Sam Darnold. They would make it work. They'd be okay. You take Dak off the Cowboys and start Cooper Rush, they're done. You take Lamar and we got to start Tyler Huntley. I've seen this movie before. I know how that goes. So,
well, on that same
note, I'm not saying he's not worthy of MVP consideration, with the stats that you just said. But maybe he's getting hurt just by being on a really good-ass team.
And see, so this is one I have to disagree with you on. One, you take Dak off the team. I'm not saying Cooper Rush is an all-star, but Cooper Rush, when he played for Dak when he was hurt last season, he did a pretty damn good job. I know there was a lot of fans who were talking about he has the
What
possibility
is in
of
your
taking
cup
over
over
this.
here?
Huh?
What is in your cup over here? Because you're talking crazy.
I mean, I'm just saying he made some plays happen when they needed it. Now, again, he's not Dak Prescott. He's not going to ever be Dak Prescott. But like you're saying, you put Elijah Mitchell in, you can make it work. You could kind of say the same with that. They have weapons. My thing is, Christian McCaffrey garners so much attention on the field. That's where I'm at with, yeah, he's on a great team. But if you take him out, if I'm not mistaken, one of their losses this year came on the game he was out. He was out for 1 or 2 games or something, and I'm pretty sure they lost with him out. Now, I can't remember who the other injuries they may have had. I think Debo may have been out at the same time. But that's something you have to consider in that is Christian McCaffrey is not just your average running back. He can make the pass blocks. He can make the receptions out of the backfield. He can go out as a damn wide receiver. Golly, he torched us in Philly like he looked like a damn slot receiver on some of those plays, like a bona fide slot receiver. The man does it all. You have to fear his run game. You have to fear all of that. To me, that is what says if you take that guy off the field, teams aren't fearing that position anymore. When they don't fear that position, they don't respect that position as much. And that is what he brings to the table as an MVP candidate in my book, is that the fear and respect teams have to give him, they can never take their eyes off of him, because the moment they do, he will score 6 points.
Could you make the same case for Tyreek? He's on pace to get almost 2,000 receiving yards this year.
I think I can make the same case for Tyreek, honestly. I think he fits in that same exact bubble. The only difference being is Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill. Christian McCaffrey has more on his plate as a running back than what Tyreek Hill may have as a wide receiver. Yeah, you can run some jet sweeps and you can run some. Christian McCaffrey, you got 3 big jobs, man. You're either blocking, running, or catching. Tyreek, you got to make sure you're either blocking well or chip blocking or whatever on some runs, and you got to make sure you're making good routes, but you're still playing as a receiver.
Yeah.
I think that McCaffrey has one dimension over what Tyreek has to have, and I think that's what would edge him out. But yeah, absolutely, I could definitely put him in the same group as that. Most definitely. Yeah. But yeah, that's my side of it. And I'm not the smartest man when it comes to it. I had to look these stats up because.
Wait, you didn't know all that off the top of your head?
But that was just kind of one of those things that I feel like Christian McCaffrey. Looking at the odds, I was blown away. Like you said, like that's almost worth throwing a few down on, because I feel like he's not getting the respect that I feel like he truly deserves in the MVP race. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that he's a running back. I think
it's just like the Heisman.
Absolutely.
It's a quarterback's award.
Yes, absolutely. And I hate that it is. It shouldn't be. They always say the Heisman is so much more than that. The MVP is so much more than it. But then you end up centering it around one specific position on a field. Well, that's what everyone looks at first before they look at any of these other guys. They're like, who's the best quarterbacks in the league? Well, I get that. Quarterbacks have a ton on their plate. They're the field general. They are responsible for orchestrating most of this out there.
Man.
Absolutely. But at the same time, just like we've been talking about last week with Florida State and with Jordan Travis. Sorry, yeah. Those nerd vodka got to me. But with Jordan Travis, that keeping them out, it's the same thing in the NFL. The quarterback is not the only player on the field.
Right.
They're brought in to believe from a young age that they are not the only player on that team. There's 11 people on both sides of the ball, and they all have a job to do. And it's the ones who do their job the best that make a team shine. And I think Christian McCaffrey is the guy. Brock Purdy does a great job. Debo Samuel does a great job.
You've made a good case there, Randall.
I like Christian McCaffrey. I liked him in Carolina. I generally don't harp on, guys from other teams that don't play for the Eagles. I can respect him, but I don't like, oh, man, that's my guy. I think Christian McCaffrey, man,
and you can count on him for a touchdown just about every single game.
Every time.
Even Vegas knows.
Yes.
So you made a good point there, Randy.
But I think both of us have made good points on it, and I think, I think that the MVP race will be very interesting to see what happens these next few weeks.
Absolutely.
I think it will make a huge determining factor what happens in the next few weeks. Dak, man, he could be a great in the running. Dak shits the bed for the rest of December, and that kills his chances.
Yeah, I was going to say, he could shit down his legs these last few games, and all that will go away.
Yes.
You can see how quickly these numbers can just fluctuate week to week. So It's about, if you're a betting person, grabbing value on a guy you think has potential to go up.
Yes.
Or maybe a guy like Mahomes who's down right now, at plus 1,600, like I said earlier. So
it'll be shit back together, and
it'd be interesting to see how it all pans out. But the end, it's like we were talking about, it's all coming together, bro.
Yep. Well, we've got a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
I know we've got some bowl games coming up. The only thing I had outside of football, I do just have to throw it out there. This GD Shohei contract, man.
Oh, you mean Ohtani?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The deferred payments. And
like he's either insane or a fucking genius.
I'm gonna lean towards genius.
Like, so you, as a Dodgers front office, and they said that was completely his idea. As a Dodgers front office person, like, I think I creamed right then and there when he gave that offer, because now he's I had the utmost respect when I heard it. I do not like him going to the Dodgers, but I had the utmost respect for him because I know, and I've said it in the NFL many times, Joe Flacco, huge one. When Joe Flacco played with the Ravens and won the Super Bowl and was like, I want to be the highest paid quarterback in the league because I'm elite. That's great, but truly elite quarterbacks are the ones that understand they need a team around them. And that's what Shohei's doing. He's like, hey, you can pay me $700 million and you will have no money to pay anyone around me. I need guys around me. Yeah, 10 years down the line when my contract's up, yeah, you're gonna take a hit for 2 or 3 years where you're not gonna have the money to pay for shit on your roster.
But I won't care because I'm not gonna be here.
And on top of that, you guys may have won 3 rings, just like the W's in the NFL. How much is a ring worth in Major League Baseball?
Apparently, only $2 million a year
for 9 years.
That's insane.
Yeah.
When I saw that, just the way they deferred all that money, it reminds me of that. Like to the nth degree, that old Bobby Bonilla contract where they pay him, on July 1st every year they pay him $1 million, and he's been getting that. He'll get it for like 30 years or something along those lines. It's just like, oh yeah, for the first 10 years you're going to pay me $2 million, and then I'll just get the other, $640 million another time, bro.
No worries, man.
I'm gonna front you my entire prime. I'm going to front it to you, bro. So just, hit me back when you can. It's a nice retirement plan he's set up for himself.
Amazing. Like, Charles Schwab or whatever is probably like, damn, that dude's a genius.
Now, he is in California, so half of that's going to go to taxes.
True. Damn, I didn't even think about that. But think, on top of that, I'm like, we were joking around at work, man, like, $700 million, he didn't even have to move. He didn't even have to change where his home location is.
Oh, yeah.
$700 million.
Right,
he's like, yeah, I'm going to stay in L.A. It's kind of my deal.
Yeah.
I like this.
Good on him, man.
Smart man.
He's not going to be able to pitch.
No, and I think that no matter what, you have to look at the liability and the risk that you're taking with it. I like the guy. I think he's, Donnie hit on it last week. He could. Everyone's saying he is the new Babe Ruth, the next Babe Ruth. Now, let's be honest here. Looking at some of Babe Ruth's videos from way back in the day, Babe Ruth would have a hard time in AAA right now. The game has changed tremendously from when he played.
Yeah, you can't, slug 8 hot dogs in the 7th inning stretch.
Yeah. Chug 3 beers and then hit the field. You're ready to go. But I think that Shohei is a smart player. I hope it works out for him in the sense that I like him as a player and a person. I would hate to see it because I don't like injuries in any sport, even with teams that I don't like. But you always have to have that thought in your head, like he comes up for his 4th at bat of the 2024 season because you're letting him DH, and he swings too hard or extends his elbow or something and just destroys his arm.
DH?
Yeah. He's eligible. He's eligible to DH in 2024. He's not eligible to pitch until 2025, and they said that could actually not even be at the beginning of 2025. It may go further than that. If I'm if I'm the Dodgers and I just
You want to protect that $700 million investment,
buddy,
let him DH.
I'm telling him, hey, get a really comfortable couch. Because for the next year and a half, you're not playing baseball except for your rehab assignments and some light batting practice.
Right, quick sidebar, can we just talk about, for just one moment, about his former team, the Angels? I cannot think of one team that has spent so much money on so many players and done so little. You look at Pujols, you look at Mike Trout, you look at Shohei, you look at Anthony Rendon, you look at all these players that they've paid a ton of money to and have done nothing. Nothing. It's just wild to me. So I can see why Shohei wouldn't want to stay. And maybe the Angels made a competitive offer. You know, maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
He wanted to go to a contender, though.
Yeah, well, that's not them.
Yeah,
and for me as a baseball fan, I wish Mike Trout would get the hell out of there because I'd love watching him play. But it sucks. Mike Trout's never played in a postseason game.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a stat I did not know.
Look it up. I'm almost certain he's never played in the postseason.
That's wild.
Or maybe never won a postseason series or any. Like, he's too good just to be on a team that is ass.
Yeah.
Can we,
Mike Trout to me is like the Larry Fitz of Major League Baseball. Like one of the most electric, amazing players, never on the team that could do what they really need to. Yeah, Larry Fitz.
Like Dan Marino, never won a Super Bowl. Great player, never won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one of those. So yeah. So you're right and you're wrong, but yes. It's looking like 3 games.
3 games.
Postseason ever. That's
one series.
Yeah, for him, that's insane. But he seems like a loyal guy. He's wanted that team. It's not that he wanted the money.
Get him on the Phillies. He's a Philly guy. Get him on the Phillies. They could use him.
But at this point, like I feel like he battles something every year.
Yeah, injury-wise, yeah.
And you're gonna pay him. You're gonna pay him significantly because the name Mike Trout. Yeah. Is it really worth it? As much as I hate to say it, I think his career will end. He'll be an amazing player with a lackluster end to his career.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm an athlete at the top of my game, he's getting paid very, very well for what he does. But isn't there that competitive edge about you? This is like, damn it, I made a lot of money, but I didn't do shit in my career. I didn't do anything. I played, what did you say, 3 postseason games? What if that's his legacy? His legacy is like, he was a good player, but never did anything?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Always a bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I would love for him to just be like, tell the Angels, be like, get some better players around me or trade me.
Yeah.
Like, get me out of here. This is a dumpster fire. Y'all need a reset. Somebody could take on this contract, or y'all split it with somebody. Mm-hmm. Ship him out to the Orioles. Shout out Robert. I know you want him on there.
To tell him, I've done enough for you guys that realistically you kind of owe me. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And,
yeah,
it's unfortunate, but meanwhile, and that's got to play in his mind a little bit to watch Shohei at such a young age go to the Dodgers, making the record contract for the MLB, and to know he knows that at one point in time, he was never a pitcher, but at one point in time he's like, I was better than that.
I'm a Red Sox fan. I saw the Red Sox not pay Mookie and let him go. It's been years. I'm still bitter about it. Yeah. Still bitter about it.
Whatever. As baseball fans, it's easy to stay bitter. I've come to find out it's way easier to stay bitter as a baseball fan than as a football fan. We got a little bit of time left, just a couple minutes. I know we wanted to talk about at least the playoffs coming up for college football.
Yeah, we'll knock these out.
What do you got? Let me know what you got. I want to hear what you got.
We've got the 2 semifinal games. We've got excuse me. We've got Michigan, Alabama. Michigan 1-point favorite. Over under 45.5. It's fairly low.
It's crazy.
Fairly low.
Yeah.
And I just had a couple notes I wanted to talk about it. So Michigan has spent the entire offseason this past year with Georgia on their mind, like Ray Charles. Georgia. They did like a Georgia drill. They did just getting ready for Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, now Georgia's not in the playoffs, but the team that beat them is, and that's who they've got to play. They thought they were going to have to play Florida State because it was, like I'm sure you touched on last week.
Yeah.
It was a Power 5 undefeated champion to not make the playoff. They thought for sure we're going to get this half a Florida State team and we're going to kick the shit out of them and we're going to go to the Natty. And when that Crimson A popped up on the screen, every single butthole in Michigan puckered just a little bit because they know that with Alabama comes a grittiness that matches theirs, a toughness, a physicality.
Yeah.
They've got athletes just as much as they do on defense and on offense. Now, say what you want about Jalen Milroe. Not the best passer in the world, but can he throw a deep ball? He just went out there and beat Georgia. Mm-hmm. In Atlanta. And the SEC championship game is a hard game. And the X Factor, they've got Nick Saban as their coach. You're giving Nick Saban 3 weeks to get ready for you. Okay? Michigan's going to want to run the ball. I'm telling you, if you challenge that Alabama, Nick Saban-led defense, say, these guys from up north, these Yankees want to come down here and run the ball, we're going to show them exactly what it means to play Alabama defense. Michigan, a 1-point favorite. Give me Bama. Give me Bama to beat Michigan. I don't think Michigan has the chops to go up against Alabama and beat that. And now J.J. McCarthy can come out and play really well.
Yeah.
And take on the brunt because I think they can stop. I think it's almost neutral. That's why it's only a 1-point game. So when I say Alabama, it's it's a 1-point spread. But Alabama's been there before. They've been to the playoff. They've won games. They've won natties. Michigan hasn't.
Yeah.
Michigan hasn't. They lost.
Quite a while, yeah.
They lost to what turned out to be a very fraudulent TCU team last year.
And I think that was kind of undercompensating for when they went into that game. They went into that TCU game thinking, like, we have everything we absolutely need to completely destroy this team. This is a walkthrough game. This is a tune-up game for us. I can't believe that they're here. I can't believe we're going to go in there and make them look so bad, and that's the worst mentality you can have in a football
game. And that's
game.
what they thought they were getting with Florida State. And that's just not the case.
Which, not just because of the whole thing going on with Florida State and the College Football Playoff Committee. I really wanted to see that only because Florida State made changes at the end of the season with Tate and with some offensive packages that never gave us the firepower we would have had with Jordan Travis, but gave us enough firepower to contend.
Yeah.
And our defense played at such a level. I wanted to see Michigan play Florida State because that was what we had going for us more than anything.
Fully healthy, yeah.
Because they were going into it thinking, we're going to walk through Florida State because they don't have Jordan Travis.
Yeah.
This is a gimme game, and that was the biggest strength we were going to have going into it.
They should have wheeled Jordan Travis's hobbled ass up onto the stage in New York and handed him the Heisman. And I think so because he was so valuable to their team that when he lost him, they got out of the playoff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to watching it. Just watching, and say what you want about Harbaugh. I think he's the second best of the Harbaughs in my opinion. But he's still
a good... whatever do you mean?
But I still think he's a good coach. So I think it's going to be a good matchup. But I like Alabama. I don't know what about the 45.5. I think that's kind of low.
Yeah.
I would maybe lean over just a little bit, but you got anything else on that game?
Nothing on that one. I would hope for the opposite. I would hope that Michigan's defense absolutely just shows Alabama that you're not the Alabama of the past. I hope that they go in there and on that same note say that we're not the same Michigan of the past. Mm-hmm. We are a new team, which they are. They have weapons that they have never had this year. Blake Corum, I can't wait to see what NFL team ends up with.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because he is like the next Christian McCaffrey in my book. He brings a lot to the table.
Tough kid.
that's the thing that I find so similar with Christian. It's not that he can, his plays out of the backfield or his running style or anything. They're both fucking tough as nails, man. And that's
I think that's what that's gonna personify this whole matchup.
yes.
Maybe I'm leaning under now because you've talked me into it. Like I think it's just gonna be like a rock fight. It's just gonna be tough, and who can be the toughest? Go ahead, Randy.
I was gonna say, so on that same note, Washington, Texas, man. Washington's offense is so high-powered. It's so high-powered. But defensively, they have shown some weakness this year.
Yeah.
Now, the thing to me is, out of all the Power 5 conferences, the two Power 5 conferences that I would consider play all offense and no defense is the Big 12 and the Pac. And now you've got the Pac and the Big 12.
Right, yeah.
What's the over-under on that game?
I have it right here. And who do you think's favored?
I'm going to say that Texas is favored.
Yeah, but what do you think?
I'm going to go Texas by like 4.5.
4. It's Texas 4. Over under 63.5.
Oh golly.
63.5. That's
like cornerbacks sitting crisscross applesauce and watching receivers.
I know my note
field.
right here. What does that note say? Just the
take
the over. Take the over. I think because this is in the Dome down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
You get all those athletes on the turf, they're going to be flying.
Yeah.
Washington's got a great quarterback in Penix.
Yeah.
They've got a great wide receiver. I think Rome something. He's very good. I didn't have it written down. Damn.
But neither team plays defenses they don't play. That's what gets me. To me, as unfortunate as it sounds, that game is irrelevant to me because no matter who wins that game, whether it's Michigan or Alabama that win their game, whoever wins the Texas-Washington game is losing the national championship.
You think so?
Because either Michigan or Alabama, they are a complete team. Those teams are high-powered teams. That high-powered team is going to have a hard time competing with a complete team.
Right, and I agree with you. My note here says which defense shows up.
Yeah.
Which defense is going to make the plays to win the game.
That'd be big.
And I think one team has an edge over the other, and I'm going to go with Washington. And I think Penix has got something to prove. In my opinion, I think he should have won the Heisman Trophy. Now he didn't play the best going down the stretch, but they beat Oregon twice, and they were an undefeated champ. And I think he wants to go out there and prove those Heisman voters wrong. I think he's not saying Jalen Daniels isn't deserving. He's a fantastic player. Don't give me congrats to him. But I think Penix wants to go out there and see, because it was a close vote, and I think he can go out there and see, you know what? I've got my team in the playoff, and I'm going to play my dick off, and we're going to get to the natty.
Yeah.
Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know. But that's my take on the game. I think like I said, it'll be another good one. I wouldn't touch the side. I would take the over, definitely, 63.5, and because there's athletes all over this field.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn Ewers isn't bad. Xavier Worthy isn't bad. There's just guys all over this field that can make plays, and that'll be a fun one to watch for sure.
Do we end up with another TCU Georgia national championship?
No. I don't. I don't think either Michigan or Alabama is as good as that Georgia team was last year.
Fair enough. That I can get behind that.
I mean, they were just a freight train.
Yeah.
They were just a freight train. So it'll be an interesting playoff. And I do have just a couple more bowl games I'm excited to watch. JMU Air Force.
Yeah.
JMU getting into their first bowl game. They had to fight for some bowl eligibility. They're writing letters. We're undefeated. They got the waiver. They're playing Air Force in that game. That'll be a fun one to watch.
I think JMU whoops that sorry ass.
The JMU coach. And
no offense to Air Force.
Yeah.
Back in the military all the way. But JMU, I think they go into it knowing that they have everything to prove and nothing to lose.
Right. And then another one, just because I like to watch a lot of points, a lot of fun, I've got Arizona, Oklahoma. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then the one that it's the I don't care bowl. It's Georgia FSU. Neither one of them want to be there. They both feel like they should be in the playoff.
Both teams are going to be missing a decent portion of their roster.
And So
it's the irrelevant bowl.
And so I just sort of, is FSU going to have any juice? And I think if anybody's going to have any juice, it will be them, because they want to go down and they want to say, we were an undefeated conference champion. We beat Georgia. We beat LSU. We won our conference, and we didn't make the playoff. So I think that's the only thing that's going to motivate those guys. And I think Georgia's, they're so just distraught because they were number one all year. They drop a close game, and then they don't make it.
Well, I will say, no matter what, I'll put it like this. I love my Noles. Super upset, and I held back a lot for those first few days until the podcast last week, and that was kind of my first chance to really let loose with how I feel. Do I think we got hosed? 100%. And I said it back then, and I'm not going to sit here and harp on it all night, but to me, it wasn't just that they did that to FSU. You're a Tech fan, man. Like, they did it to the ACC. It wasn't. They basically, in my book, was like, well, the ACC's not a strong Power 5. They're still a Power 5. A Power 5 is a Power 5. It's not, oh, you got Power 5 here and a Power 5. No, if you're a Power 5, you're here, and the way you consider it is Power 5s are here, your other conferences are here. That's the way they look at it. If you consider it a Power 5, then it's a strong Power 5.
I think anybody who says difference, take FSU out and put your team in. Whatever you think, if you're a Power 5 team, whatever team you're a fan of. Whatever team you're a fan of. UVA, whatever. This will never happen. But say UVA goes undefeated, wins the ACC, doesn't make it to the playoff. You're telling me they're not going to be fired up? You know, and it's not like FSU doesn't have brand power too. They're former national champions. FSU's one of the blue collar schools that is in the ACC. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you, Randall. I think they got jobbed on that one.
If Penix gets hurt 2 weeks before the end of the season and they still win their championship game, they're going to the playoffs. They are going to the playoffs.
That's why I was saying give Jordan Travis the Heisman, because he proved to be the most valuable player ever.
Even the committee thought
it. You know, well, so
you know, it's bowl season. You know, I hate to say it, the playoffs don't matter near as much. You know, my wife being a big Michigan fan, at least I have something to look forward to at least see them play. I think that the FSU Georgia game is irrelevant. I love my Noles, and quite honestly, if we go in there and we get completely shit on by 35 points, I'm not mad at my team, because at this point they fought their hearts out all season to be told that you guys are irrelevant. And to me, nothing takes the wind out of a group of young men who fought their asses off all season. Nothing takes the wind out of their sails like something like that. And so if it does go down like that, I'm sure every naysayer out there is going to be like, well, that's why Florida State didn't deserve to be in. No, you changed the playing field. You changed the board. You changed the game for them. Absolutely. You can't now, at this point, whether we win or lose, you can't compare that to anything that they want to compare it to, because it's irrelevant. We now have a bunch of guys who have declared for the draft or declared for the transfer portal that are like, hey, well, I'm not going to play because I'm not going to risk getting hurt. And you know what? Normally, I'm not big on that. Normally, I'm like, nah, you signed up for the team. You're going to play. I understand completely where they're coming from this year. That's one that I'm like, I hate to hear it and hate to see it, but more power to you. And I wish you nothing but the best. And that's kind of how I feel about it. And, you know, I know we went a little bit over tonight. I do have to say, real quick, I want to throw something out there. I did want to let you know that per your request, I did have that basket of clean towels for the Buckets of Ducats Fantasy League.
Oh, yeah.
I know you were saying that there were some players going to need to clean themselves up in the next couple of weeks, so got your basket of clean towels right there.
Oh, yeah. The Oxlong is going to be spraying all over the playoffs. So just grab a towel right here, fellas. Clean yourself off. Money's on the dresser. Get the hell out.
Oh, man. Well, with that being said, we got just a minute or two. I know you brought us something really good. Reese's Caramel Big Cups. Never had these.
I've never had those either.
So
Reese's always be coming out with some innovative,
some wild
snacks.
stuff, man. So let's check it out.
And while we'll eat these big cups, I do have one more thing. Since these are some of the best bites we'll have tonight, I've got my best bets for the week.
All right, let's hear it.
NFL, just 2 of them. Give me Rams -6.5 versus the Commanders. Commanders secondary is dog crap. Rams got something to play for. They're my dark horse. Let's go, Rams -6.5. And also, give me the Thursday night primetime under. Give me the Chargers, Vegas. Under 33.5. 2 dog shit quarterbacks. Raiders scored 0 points against the Minnesota Vikings. They lost 3-0. Easton Stick starting for the Chargers. It's going to be a bowl of stir-fried dog shit. Give me the under.
I like it. Cheers. Let's try it. Let's see what we got. Not a fan of Reese cups. Those are delicious.
Amazing.
That's good.
Terrible.
I can dig it. All right, so I'm going. Damn, that's good. All right, I'm going 8-5 on the Reese's. I'm going 7-5 on the fudge-filled Hershey's. I'm going 8-5 on the red velvets too. I love red velvet.
I'm going to give you 8-5, 6, 8. Just a scotch better. Just a scotch better. A little too
It's
sweet.
got the edge.
A little too sweet, but I could definitely eat a bunch of these and not feel bad about it.
If I'm watching football, any one of these is working. Well, that's about all the time we have, and then some.
How long did we go?
I think we're in at like an hour 40.
Oh, shit.
It's all good though. Hey,
man.
When
We've been going there, Randall.
When we got good points, you got good points. That pretty much is going to finish it up for us. Brent, man, this has been awesome. This has been a fun time. This has been great.
I can't wait to come
points,
back.
man. Absolutely. We can't wait to have you back. I just want to finish this up with one thing real quick. The first podcast we did last week, great notes we got off of it. We got a lot of great support from you, the fans, watching, getting some subscriptions, likes, the follows, all that stuff. We really love seeing that, and that is what keeps us going. That's what keeps this going. I wanted to announce tonight that we're on our way after the first one. We've got those subscriptions and the follows rather. When we hit 50 followers, we've decided we are going to do a giveaway at 50 followers. When we get a little bit closer, we'll announce what the giveaway is going to be, but we are going to do a giveaway at 50 followers. So everybody that sees this, everybody watching, like, subscribe, follow, do it all. Help us out. Help get this word out. Help get these names out here. Let's get this podcast going. Let's let everybody know what Sports Bites is all about. Fun, football, sports, food, snacks everything, baseball. Eventually we will probably hit on some other things, basketball, hockey, and stuff. It's just been football. Football and baseball has been so wild with all the news.
I love it so much now, and I'm going to be really sad when it's not here.
Yeah.
Really sad.
And then we'll just do podcasts on what we're looking forward to.
Hey, we could do a Super Bowl show with all the Super Bowl snacks.
Easy. Shh.
I'm giving all the content away.
We can't let the fans know too early. Listen, everybody, thank y'all so much for being here and watching. Thanks for being a part of this. Again, Brent, great having you here, man.
Thank you, Randy.
This is a ton
Appreciate
of fun.
you, man.
Like I said, again, get those follows in. Leave some comments on there, things that you guys want to hear us talk about, things you guys want to, the snacks you guys want to see reviewed.
Put in your fruitcake recipes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that, all I will say is this has been Sports Bites. Thank you, Brent. Once again, thank you, everybody, for watching. Hope you had a good time, and hope to see you again really soon. Thank you.
Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag. Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah,